All right, Mr. Ronnie Walker, we are live. We are live. We are live. We are live on Facebook, streaming using StreamYard to Facebook. And if you are joining us for the first time, this is Yasheka in the Ronnie's Dating Discussions, our Thursday edition. And I am Yasheka Foster, affectionately known as the Artist of Dating. And I empower women to date through self discovery or finding the love of their lives and the tools to balance it all. And my handsome co-host.
Good evening, everyone. Want to say Yashika looks stunning as always. My name is Ronnie Walker, aka Mr. Relationship Man, Master Coach of Exceptional Dating Relationships and Sex. And the approach to dating and effective relationships is through the space of self development. Thank you all, and good afternoon, morning, or evening, based on wherever you all are tuning in from.
Absolutely, absolutely. So listen, I decided to throw on a little red since we're talking about Valentine's Day and how we feel about it and all that thing. So today's title is Love is in the Air or Is It? Or is it? I guess it depends on how you feel about. We got what? Let me see. Let me make sure my math is right. What about 96 hours? Oh no, 84,
You
24
don't
times
even start with me with that. I could know.
4 times 4, 96 hours. We got 96 hours before we are, well, actually less than that because this day is almost over in about 4 hours. So that means that we got even less hours. So I don't even know how many hours that is. 36 and 4. We got 40 hours to Valentine's Day. Or no, 48, 49, 51, 52 hours, something like that. 72, 76 hours. That's right. I got pretty good math skills if I think about it. If I think about it, 24, 48, yeah, something like that. So we got less than 96 hours till Valentine's Day. So some people are joyous about Valentine's Day. How do you feel about Valentine's Day being around the corner?
It's funny. Being where I am in my life right now, I do understand. I'm challenged at some point as to how holidays, or if not that this is an official holiday per se, became so polarizing. And I believe, as I really sat down and thought about this, and even for the subject for tonight, was I think any time we are put in a position to think about ourselves in terms of our relationship with ourselves and a relationship with someone else, I think it's a good thing. So I believe for those, because Valentine's Day, and let's face it, we all know that, yes, we could say it's a manufactured day and it's meant to make men spend tens of thousands of dollars, and it is $1 billion business. I mean, let's face it. But here's another thing that I also learned too is that women also spend a significant amount of money on their man or on themselves. So listen, we can say the same thing about Black Friday. We can say the same. Listen, if you understand anything about capitalism, well, welcome to capitalism. Get over it. This is going to be a day, and I think as a day of just really recognizing that love is in the air, I choose to believe that it's a positive thing, whether you're single or in a relationship. And that's just my stance. Don't debate me. You're going to lose.
Well, I always enjoy Valentine's Day, right? Um, Before I got really, really smart about what the month of February is and what it really means. And when you think about it, the 14th is significant, right? But when I went to go do a little research, because I'm doing a whole 10 days of Valentine's up under the art of dating, I found some things out about Saint Valentine that I didn't know. And because I never bothered to do it. I know in school they taught us an overview of it, but they didn't really tell us the truth. And then on top of that, it's been so many years that I don't really remember what was said. So I decided to educate myself on Saint Valentine. And what I realized is that the Roman Catholics gave it up, and we chose as Americans to continue on with the holiday. And where I come from, and I noticed that it's more or less up north, we even celebrate something called Sweetest Day. And a lot of people are not familiar with Sweetest Day. And when I brought that up to someone, they had never heard of it. But speaking on Valentine's Day, the whole month of February is the month of love. And so why do we put, and this is just a question, I'm not debating, I'm just asking, why do we put so much emphasis on that specific day if the whole 28 days, if it's not a leap year, is devoted to love and showing your significant others how much you admire them or the love that you have for them? You're on mute.
You're right. Yes, that is a good question. And it's the same. I had the same question, Yashika, when it came to Thanksgiving. I said, because again, if you look at the history of Thanksgiving, and it's true, really what happened historically, because it wasn't as, we already know history is altered or things of this nature. But then there are those who say, listen, Ron, it's a day of thanks. I said, well, why does we have to say one day of thanks and make this particular day the day of thanks when really this is something that we should be thankful for 365, 24/7? And the same with Christmas in terms of gift giving and things of this nature. So I get it because I've researched that as well in terms of Valentine's and whatever. However, I just feel that yes, in some form or fashion, retail plays a part in that because they understand the psyche of the consumer. So they focus on that one day because they know just for the sake of just monetary reasons, no one's going to sit here and spend 28 days of going out to dinner and buying roses and hearts and whatever it may be. So it's just easy to focus on that one day. That's just one train of thought. But I do believe, as I've always said, for many times when I come to this time of year, at least in my platforms, I say, look, if anything, gentlemen, and I'm speaking strictly to the gentlemen, if there's anything, don't forget, no matter what you do and spend on that one day, don't forget to show your appreciation and love towards that significant other. So don't just say you did it all on Valentine's Day, and then the other 364 days you're lackadaisical. That's just not healthy as well for a relationship. So it is a good question. I think it's something that is worth looking into. Again,
Okay. All right. I didn't know you cut out, but it is something worth looking into because that's what I say. If we're going to focus our love and showing our appreciation for our significant other on that day, whatever happened to the other days, and come the 15th of February, everybody's huffing and puffing and blowing the house down. What I mean? They forgot that they just spent because on average, like literally, aside from Christmas, Valentine's Day is the highest revenue as far as holidays in a calendar year. Americans spend billions of dollars, buying things for Valentine's Day because people go beyond the balloons and the candies and the darn bears and stuff like that. They're buying some serious stuff. I think every year, depending on where you are in your life or whatever, it's no longer about just going to a little restaurant or whatever. Most restaurants a sticker price or a hefty price tag, you can't even get in those things if you don't make an early enough reservations because they're totally tapped out. You know what I mean? And it was funny because it was funny. I remember a couple years ago, I had no idea, and I'm not shading anybody at all. So please don't be in my inbox. But I know here in this area, there was this was about maybe this was for before the pandemic, so it had to be about 3 4 years ago. I remember here where I'm at, they have waffle houses. And I remember seeing signs that they were saying that they were taking reservations for Valentine's Day. And I said, people really go to Waffle House without a reservation? And I didn't know. I did not know. And someone had to explain it to me. They said, Yashika, some people do that. Like, and apparently it's enough of them where they need to take reservations because people go into the Waffle Houses and they're in there in abundance on Valentine's Day. And I had no idea. You know what I mean? Because I didn't even know Waffle Houses didn't even exist all across. I didn't know that they weren't like up north and things like that. So I had no idea. And it was just one of those things I was like, well, okay, well, Okay, if that's what we doing, you know what I mean? Hey, whatever, you know. But they were taking reservations, and so I'm assuming that they're packed on that day as well. And I'm sure every restaurant that's either, I mean, except for a drive-through. I mean, because I think Waffle House is like one step away from a drive-through, I believe. You know what I mean? So I think that everything outside of a drive-through was probably where you needed a reservation. You know what I mean? To include your everyday restaurants like your what is it? Steakhouses and things, the smaller steakhouses, like Outbacks and stuff like that. You need reservations to go up in there during that time of year. So Americans are spending a lot of money. They're going above and beyond. And I'm okay with that. I'm for it. Listen, I bought myself a hefty, and I should have. And this is a little sad thing because I always get in my feelings about this time of year because this year is always close to my birthday. So for me, it's always within the February March time frame. I always do. And I bought myself a hefty gift today, and it was funny because when I went to place my order, they wouldn't take my zip code. So I had to call the company and was like, hey, you know, I don't know what's going on, but it's saying that you guys don't ship to my zip code. And all I was thinking is that if this lady doesn't try to follow up with this order by saying, I'll place your order through the automated, through online, talking to her on the phone, then that means that was God telling me I don't need this gift, right? Because it was hefty. So sure enough, she comes, she says, well, I can take your order right here. She's like, I can go ahead and place it. Would you like me to place the order for you? I was like, see, and I told her, I said, see, if you had not said that to me, I was gonna take it as a hint that I didn't need to spend this money on this gift. You know what I mean? But that was my Valentine's Day gift to myself. But it's just one of those things where, and for me, yeah, I'll think of a reason about myself a gift, but I knew that I had Valentine's Day in mind when I bought it. But it's just one of those things where, people do spend a lot of money, but I think that more importantly, it makes us focus on either what we do have or what we don't have. And I think that that's the part that we probably need to explore. You know what I mean? Okay, if you do have a love in your life, you show them your admiration for them, you show them your appreciation for them, you show them the love that you have for them on or around that day. Sometimes you'll do good a day or two before, then a day or two after, right? But you're still doing it. So what about those who do not have significant others around that time? What do you think the psychological effect or the effect that it has on them? Because some people are filling in the gaps. You know what I mean? Sometimes you don't have that somebody forever. Sometimes you have that somebody for right now. You know what I mean? And so for some people, that's enough. So what do when we talk about individuals who follow that? Matter of fact, I'm one of those individuals that don't have a Valentine. So when you talk about those kind of people, what are some things that I would say, or what are some things that you would coach somebody on through those situations?
Well, the question, even before asking, they pretty much have an answer as to why they don't. You'd be surprised how many people really are honest about themselves. Because funny enough, it took me some time to really delve into this as I listened to more and more. And mind you, this is something that I get overwhelmingly women, female callers, where they really use this day as a day of reflection. Now, mind you, the key is not to be in a pity party. This is just to say, hey, you know what? I really want this. And here's another thing. Funny enough, Yashika, many women prior to Valentine's Day always love to talk about how having someone in their life didn't matter. They're okay. It's the happily single. And I'm good with that. So I'm not stressing it. It's all self love and things of this nature. And then of course, if it's TV, if it's radio, if it's going wherever they're normally going throughout the day, where they're seeing all of these signals of companionship, relationship, love, and yes, sex, that they say, you know what? Well, damn. I wish I had a right now. They'd be happy for that. And again, so this is also a time of being honest with yourself. So I get it. This is a day for self love. Well, you can do that the other days as well. So what is it? What is it that you're trying to what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word? What is it that you're trying to cover? What is it in that being honest about yourself? So, ladies, for those of you who would have preferred to have somebody with you, don't beat yourself up. Use this as a reflection. Still be positive. Be thankful. Take this another day is to be thankful for where you are and knowing that you are growing still. And again, if you're still having some challenges, reach out to Yashika. Reach out to me and let us get you in the proper mindset and heart set so that the next Valentine's Day that turns around, you are with somebody. But it's really just, I believe, a day to really look at yourself and take some sort of inventory. Because many people wish they was, even though sometimes they say they weren't. And so, okay, then so, and they will share on, you know what, I could have been in this situation, but because of my stubbornness or because or fear is what would plays a huge part of that, that I didn't engage this particular person that had been pursuing me. And you know what, I think about that. Maybe I should have at least, at the very least, went out to dinner with a gentleman. You know, so it's again, I always think this is just a day of reflection as well,
Yeah,
and
and
this is the thing to.
I'm assuming that goes for men and women because there's probably as many women, single men, as there are single women on Valentine's Day. And when you think about, because I mean, you have the fellas who have those friends who are, going out of town, who are showering their ladies with gifts and things like that. I mean, even when it comes to men, they can find somebody for right now, just like the women can, to find somebody to spend that moment with or whatever. But when you talk about what it really is and what it really means to many people, the way we've been conditioned to believe that it is, they don't want to be in that position either. So the men should reflect on it as well and figure out what is it that they've done or can do or should do to make sure that they're not in this position again next year. You know what I mean? Because I think it's men and women. It's not exclusively for women and it's not exclusively for men because I know a lot of single men and I know a lot of single women. I mean, granted, I know more single women than men, and that's because I know more women than men. You know what I mean? So I think that it's just a reflection for both people. And I don't think, well, I don't know. I don't know. Is it really, if we say that we need to take this time to reflect, um, are we putting a lot of thought into this one day
Yes, and you'd be
and
surprised.
what it really
Should
means?
we? Well, we can debate on whether we should or shouldn't, but again, you'll find that to be the case as well, whether it's Thanksgiving, Christmas as well, where there was someone they wish they could show up at their family's house with someone. You see the means where rent a husband or rent a bae for the day, Christmas or whatever. So yes, people do put a lot of stock and thought into such a day, even though it's just one day. Now again, to go down that rabbit hole as to why, there are many reasons. But if for anything, it's a constant reminder. It's a reminder that you don't have someone. You don't have someone. And let's face it, in some instances, it's a good thing, especially if you're in the space of working on yourself. And yes, to your point, Yashika, there are men who do wish they had someone. Although sometimes the prevailing thought online is, like, okay, guys, start the argument now. So you have to spend money because sometimes men feel as though they're getting the short end of the stick in Valentine's Day because they're the only ones doing that. And I'm the one here saying, no, fellas, it's something in it for you too. If you have the woman that you say you want, then I can assure you she will make it just as incredible for you as you are for her. But, so for those who can only afford a Waffle House, because let's face it, we're of an age where, and I can just, let me just put me in there. I can remember being in the first, the puppy love time in my life where you can only afford a rose or whatever, the teddy bear from the gas station or the dude on the corner. I'm from the hood. So we knew that these guys were always out during this time. And that was the best that we can do at that time. And our young girlfriends, who we were in love, they loved it. That was all that mattered. Some chocolates. It wasn't Godiva, but it was chocolates, and it was a
Right,
rose
right,
and Betty,
right.
or from the drugstore, whatever it was. This is what we can do. Then you get into college, you maybe just splurge a little more. Maybe those are the guys that can afford the Waffle House because they can't do the Capitol Grill or whatever. But then as you get older, we all know as men, the ante's up. And
Right.
rightfully so, rightfully so. You should be okay in your space in the career. If you're a business owner or entrepreneur, things of this nature. Well, now you can't go get the Hallmark card. You gotta get something that's custom done. You can't get any teddy bear if you're gonna get teddy bear. It's got to be one from a specific place. You don't get any basic chocolate. You get the one that is definitely coming strictly from the land of chocolates. So now you're also in a space where now you're flying someone out. Instead of just dinner here and there, you going. I see trips going to Italy. For the city of love. So it progresses, but again, there are those men. Again, I reach out to them. They reach out to me because some of them I know say, "Look, man, how you doing? You okay?" Sometimes some of them just broke up, and so this is the first Valentine without that person they had in their life. And let me tell you, it's a sad situation to hear some of my brothers out there, with that first Valentine's with that one they were with. For whatever the reason the breakup is, because of course in their mind they're thinking, as men, we're like, okay, who is she spending Valentine's with? It's not me, So it's those kind of things. So yes, Yashika, men feel it, men want it, men more than anything wish they had someone that they could shower with. Don't think that all the men are out here trying to avoid spending money on Valentine's or wishing they had someone. I can assure you, I can assure you that there are men out there that wishing that come the 14th, they had someone they want to spend time with.
Absolutely. I remember I have a friend, a good friend of mine. She and I would joke about it, about the whole Valentine's or not having a Valentine's. And she would say to me, she would say, Yashika, you might as well just go ahead and chalk it up with me. We're both gonna be without a Valentine's. And I will always tell her, listen, I'm gonna have a Valentine's. It may not be like, I'm out on a date, but I'm gonna get a gift. I'm gonna get some flowers, some roses. I'm gonna get something from Pandora. I'm gonna get something. I'm gonna get something. I told her, I don't know what you're doing, child, but I'm gonna get something. So I said, well, no matter what, I'm gonna get something. And so it was funny because she would every time I would get something, I would always take a picture of it and send it to her, because I was like, girl, I don't know what you're doing, but you need to be making sure you get at least a Valentine's, like somebody needs to be sending you. So it was just a little thing that she and I would talk about, because, being single women or whatever, being divorced women. And so we would talk about that or whatever. And she would tell me, you might as well just be with me, Yashika. In other words, she was saying that you're like me, Yashika. We're going to just be without that. And I'm like, no, no. I rebuke that. I'm going to get me a Valentine's Day gift. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna get something, and sure enough, I'll get something. And so, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I see it as when it comes to this particular, and if you mentioned earlier about certain holidays, and I just think that I know for me because of my life prior to where I'm at now, my previous life. I never really thought about the other holidays and bring somebody home and things like that. So when I see those kind of memes and people, like the one thing where the guy says, I can take home for this amount of money or whatever, and I was like, I didn't know that was a thing. Like I never knew that was a thing, right? Until I became a civilian because I didn't know it was a thing. Because in my previous world, it was always about going home to be with your extended family because we will only get a lot of times those time of years to be with the extended family. And so, of course, whether I was married or single, I had my children. So for me, it was about spending time with family. So I never thought about traveling with a companion, even outside of marriage. When I wasn't married, and so I never thought about it. I didn't even know it was a thing. I really didn't. But I know that Valentine's is a thing. And I don't think my parents or my family, except from a husband, unless I'm serious about someone, I would never bring anybody home. Like they would have to be the only people I've ever brought home was people I was marrying. Like, that was it. Now granted, when my mom was with me, of course, she would see my friends because of course we're in close proximity of one another because we're in the same home. But as far as me going to another state, which is where I'm originally from, I'm not bringing anybody home if they're not someone that I'm going to be with. Like I'm just not because they have a lot of people to meet. You know what I mean? And I'm like they have to pass the test of my brother, so I just don't bring any. I don't bring anybody home. If yeah, they just yeah. So Valentine's, no Valentine's, Christmas, no Christmas. No, I'm not doing it. But I guess for some people it's a big deal. But I say go buy your own self a Valentine's Day. Buy your own self something. You and your friends swap gifts. Swap gifts.
Well, there are definitely the creative ways to do that. But yes, bringing someone home during the holidays, it has always been a big thing because here's what this does. And unfortunately, it falls so heavily on the women because you get the mom and dad who's looking at her and she's getting older and it's like, okay, wait a minute. Because what they're showing is prospects, like, well, what is the prospects that you got going on? Again, does anyone on the horizon? Are you at least dating? It's all of this kind of thing. So you hear and read about the challenges of women when they're going home from college or from wherever they are to go see the parents. It's like, oh boy, now I got to have the conversation, especially if they have siblings who are married, who are dating, and then the odd one out. Now, unfortunately, men, and there is a double standard, let's face it, that men are looked at it that way because, you could be playing the field. He comes home single and like, hey, son, you're not married. Just this and that. I'm out here exploring my options. I'm sowing my oats, and the dad high fiving him or whatever. So and then mom is shaking her head like, Lord have mercy, I'm gonna have a son who's gonna be like 80 and not married yet. So there were those things, but the poor daughter, she catches all the hell. So this is very much a thing outside of Valentine's Day, the holidays. It can wreak havoc mentally for single women. Unfortunately, that's just it is what it is at this point,
I
and
get it.
I've read about it. You see the movie. I don't care what movies you see this, and it just the way it is. So, and if she so happens to bring someone, then now of course all of the family and sometimes extended family is looking at homeboy like, okay, yo, you is, and if she has brothers, he's looking at you like, yo, is this just a little right now thing, or what you gonna do? You wifing her up? Well, what's up? So it's that kind of thing. So they're playing they're watching the game. Dad's scoping him out, trying to find out what's going on. Is he real? So even at that space, this is where the man is like, okay, it's game time. It's prime time now. I already know I'm gonna get the interrogation, and his answers need to be on point. And hopefully, if he's in that space, he's intentional. He's looking to take this to the ultimate level with her.
Yeah, and it's a lot of pressure, I'm sure, on women. I'm sure it's a lot of pressure on women, when it comes to marriage and bringing someone home and because your mom, your dad, they want you to have someone. They want you to have that what is it, 2.5 kids, a dog, and a picket white fence. You know what I mean? I think every parent wants that for their child, especially for their daughter. You know what I mean? And for whatever reason, I think that pressure is really put on the girls in the family as opposed to the boys. I think because they know that the boy can get off, he can go off and get married anytime he wants to, because there's more of a selection for him. Whereas that with the girl, there's not a big of pool. So it's like, okay, we need you to hurry up and figure this out because the older you get or whatever, it starts to get a little bit starts to get a little different. And so I think that's why there's so much pressure involved with that, unfortunately. And I think that's just the way, especially in our society, American society, especially Black society, the Black society, Black American society, because I don't think a lot of other cultures really go through it the way we go through it. Because a lot of them, they it seem like they have mates, they have, you know, mates. It's my opinion.
I would challenge you on that, Jess. I can assure you that this is something that happens across all. I mean,
I'm
human
not saying
name.
about
Yeah.
I'm not no, I'm not saying about the idea of the girl having pressure. I'm saying that it seems like here in our culture, it seems like when it comes time for marriage, we have the bigger problems with getting married, whereas that statistically
Okay. I
speaking,
see. Yeah. Okay. Okay.
yeah,
I see.
our
Yeah.
marriage rates are down further than other cultures. That's what
Yes.
I'm
One in four. One in four.
yeah. So and so that's a problem across the board, but of course, it's a societal issue. And no one said we have to stay in this box. We can date and marry outside of our group. So listen, um, I'm all for it. But in terms of Valentine's Day, I don't know. I just hope everybody gets them a Valentine's or, something nice or something they can brag about or, or flowers in the mail or whatever. You know what I mean? Like everybody deserves that. Everybody deserves to be shown that they're appreciated or that they're admired in some kind of way or loved or whatever it is that whatever stage you are at in the relationship. I think that everybody deserves that. You know what I mean?
I agree. I totally agree. I just I don't like the anti-Valentine sentiment, sentiment. And like I said, I get it in some spaces because a lot of that is directed toward men. Like if you don't spend this so much money, then you don't really have this feeling, this kind of litmus test for men in this space. And so I can understand some men's blowback on that. They really like, look, don't say don't define my feelings or emotions towards this woman and based on some damn necklace or things of that nature. Just like in engagement, the size of the ring really determines how much you really. I mean, again, we people spend more on the damn wedding than they do on their house sometimes. It's amazing. So I understand that, but I just want people to really. Part of what I do is really work on the paradigm shift of saying, look, this really is a day of love. So if just like say, I get it, it's all supposed to be about having someone in there. But if you don't, then let's just take a day, for self. Just like you said, if you buy yourself a gift, great. We know the ideal situation is to have someone buy something for you. However, okay, so if it has, is it really the end of the world? But if anything, be happy for those that have someone. If there's one thing I'm very good in, if I may pat myself on the back, Yashika, I'm very good at clapping for other people. I don't care, even on my social media, if it's just something as simple as having a child graduate. I'm always giving hearts to everybody. So it's just, you don't get the thumb. No, I give everybody hearts, even the fellas. Like, yo, I love that picture, nice outfit, things of this nature. But when it comes to the space of love, I remember just today, someone shared a picture or video of them closing on a house, and they got the big thing of the key. And so they were taking a picture of the man and the woman, and while he was standing behind her, she wasn't aware. He jumped on one knee, and even the photographer was in it and said, "Listen, why don't you turn around? Because I need you to be looking at each other." And she turned around, and he's on his knee proposing to her. Now, granted, it wasn't at the bottom of the Eiffel Tower. It wasn't somewhere in the Serengeti of Africa. It was in a closing. But again, here they have a house. Now they're getting married again. I mean, again, and so that was something I put all types of hearts or whatever the case may be because I make no secret. I am pro relationship. I'm pro marriage, and I'm going to stand on that, regardless of whatever the challenges there are, what we feel in relationships and marriage. That's just where I stand because I have living examples growing up and now that they're great marriages. So, and a day like to when Valentine's Day come for those single men and women, be happy for those people. Damn it. I mean, we've got enough to complain about in life and in the world. So be happy. Okay, this is not your time, but put yourself in position again by investing in a consultation with Yashika or I or us both so that next Valentine's Day, someone will be clapping for you. So I'm going to step off my soapbox now.
No, no, I'm here for it. Listen, I'm here for all that because it should be. And but people are people. People will look at something and not be happy for someone else because of their lack of. And you're right, they should be happy about because when you show that kind of gratitude or when that type of appreciation for it, it's like you opening up the good karma your way. You know what I mean? You're cheering for everybody. So you know what I mean.
There
So
you go.
that's it.
Exactly.
It's gonna come back to you, But if you're sitting there like and swiping, because, then that's not good. Of course, you're
I
gonna yeah.
I
So
agree.
and that kind of expression wears on your face no matter what you're doing. People think that they're covering it up, but if you act that way when you're looking at something instead of being happy for someone, it shows up in your every life, even when you're masking it. It's there. It's evident. You know what I mean? But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I'll see what what, I guess in 2023 we'll look at the amount of money that was spent this Valentine's Day. I guess I don't know. You think the with everything going on that there'll be less traveling this year?
I believe people are now breaking out and doing some traveling. I was reading today, I was speaking to a travel agent, friend of mine, and I was asking, what does it say to travel in terms of cruises and in terms of just flights? And it is still overall down.
Mhm.
People could still feeling their well, even whether they're vaccinated or not vaccinated, whatever. There's still some caution, and so people are really still making their way and doing what they need to do. So sometimes it may not be a plane, it may be a car that they're driving to. Overall, it's down, but I believe what has happened is again the online sales.
Yeah.
So to the point where even if you're having things delivered, there is some lag time because of shortage of drivers or people in the process of putting whatever the orders that you're buying for someone together. Um, so for those of you in long distance relationships, you have to plan it especially early, as
Yeah.
now as you was pre-COVID. So there are those things that you have to take into consideration. So I believe money's going to be spent. It's an interesting question. It is something, honestly, Yashika, I'm going to definitely look into. Post COVID. You know, what is the money that's going to be spent this year? And those numbers will come out because if you follow the stock market in any space, you will get the earnings from those companies that really specialize in that space. So it may not be clothing per se, but just in terms of jewelry, those entities that own jewelry stores, candy. You'll get some things, of course. Funny, hell, Waffle House. There, in terms of which falls under hospitality. So it's going to be interesting to see what those numbers are going to look like. But I would venture to say, overall it's going to be down, but higher than most people would expect.
I think a lot of people are spending their money on Airbnbs this time of year to really celebrate Valentine's Day. I think they're doing the things like more intimate, because then that way it kind of gives them a different environment, but yet not be around a lot of people. And so they're going like to cottages, which is my perfect getaway. I want to go to like a nice little cottage, and I don't even know what you do at a cottage. I don't even know. All I remember about a cottage is I think in the Three Bears or the three, where they ate the porch in the storyteller in the stories. I don't even remember. I don't even know what you do at a cottage. But all I know,
Goldilocks,
yeah,
Goldilocks over
Goldilocks.
here.
That's all I know about a cottage is that they was out there. I don't even know what's out there. You know what I mean? But all I know is I want to go to a cottage. That's all I know. Okay, I don't even know what I do out there except Goldilocks and her three bears and some porch. What do you do? Do you ski out there? Do you hike? I don't even know. I know I want to go though, because it's snakes out there, but I still want to go. But anyway, so in my in my mind, those are the type of things that people are doing to really celebrate Valentine's Day this year, because then that way it's a little bit more intimate. You don't have to worry about a lot of crowd of people. You know what I mean? And so I think it's just, people are doing couples things where they're having like they're renting big Airbnbs where they host like they got 5 and 6 bedrooms in it, and then they're having close friends do things where they cook themselves and do activities and play games and things like that. I think people are doing those things, and then almost like Christmas, and then they break out okay exchange gifts about whatever. I think people are doing that this year. And I think that traveling is still going up, but I don't think it's going to be the way it was pre-COVID. You know what I mean? So yeah, so I think gifting is going up because people are not spending it on what they would typically spend it on. So now the gifts are going to be elevated a little bit. So that's just my opinion.
And that's a good thing, gentlemen. If you're not, able to spend money in some form or fashion, don't look at that as money saved. Upgrade the gift, and I can assure you she will appreciate it. That's just
Absolutely.
something from me, from one man to the other brothers that are tuning in.
Hmm. Yep. And I'm willing to drop my cash app to anybody. I am. I
Gentlemen, drop your cash app as well, okay? Just- especially for those women, everything is equal, equal, equal. Drop your damn cash app, gentlemen. Let the
am.
ladies bless you with some cash, okay?
You ain't seen me nowhere say all things were created equal. Nope. That is not what Yashika said. I listen, I know my place in this world and I know who I am and I don't need listen, I don't support Rosie the Reveler. I don't support her. You know what I mean? I don't support her at all. You hear me? I was not there when them women in the 50s that was working in plants and stuff made a stance. I wasn't there. Matter of fact, my mama wasn't even there. I ain't had nothing to do with that. Okay. That's how I feel about it. So
I'm just speaking to those men who listen to those women who are. So don't be out. You're not gonna get a cash out from Yashika, and
no,
I can assure you of that. But
that's
yes, for
that's not
those,
my
yes.
story. That's not my
Uh,
story. Listen, I believe, you know me. I always say I'm always the damsel in distress. I'd be like, oh no, I can't do that. No, I can't. Oh my God, no, I can't. Huh? Like the women in the movies and stuff. That's me. Like that is me all day long. You hear me? Like I can't do none of that. When I tell you nothing, nothing, I be looking at stuff like who do I call for this? Like that's how I look at problems in my life. You know what I mean? Like when I see things, and this ain't got nothing to do with Valentine's Day, but just since we talked about this, when I look at problems in my life or situations that go on in my home, my first thought is who do I call? Because there's somebody I can call that can do this because I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this.
no, I agree. No, I agree.
I don't
That
want.
yeah, and men will be, again, men is we're problem solvers, and
Yeah.
but it amazes me how increasingly women are really taking on this DIY, attitude towards every single thing. I'm like, oh, okay. I said, listen. I said, we play a purpose. I said, we were created for this, ladies.
I've been watching that, Ronnie, and I don't think that that's. And I know this is probably another discussion for another day. But I've been
Yep.
listening to women, and I've been watching women, and I think you guys are talking about the women 10 years ago. I don't think you're talking
Mm,
about the women of the 2022. I really don't. I just refuse to believe it because the women that I talk to on a daily basis, I hear the things that they talk about, but none of them come off as they want to be this woman that does these things. They're not probably as animated as I am when I talk about damsel in distress. But a lot of these women are damsel in distress. It's like they want to be like they are the women and they know their position and they're okay with playing it.
well, let me help you out. And to all the ladies that are tuning in, many of you know what I'm going to say is true. As a man, and I'm going to speak on behalf of the men in this space, is that what men hear from women are two different things. Well, there are three. There is one who really, truly, really honor and recognize the role in woman's nature and the space in which you think, Yashika. Then there are those who want to sound as though, and they really process it online, and they don't need this dude, they don't need that, they got it all. I got it. This is whatever. But behind the scenes, they don't feel that way. I get a number of those women. Then there are those, and truly increasing numbers. Now, mind you, many of these women are younger. However, because of the way they've been conditioned, either through education, academia, or just in the type of books they read, movies, it's all about them. And they really don't. So I can assure you, if you listen to enough men, like for instance, and this is, I think, is in a way in the whole thing with Valentine's in some form or fashion, the whole 50-50 situation. She's paying half the dinner, he's paying half, or things of this nature. Now, any man or woman who knows me for all of these years, call it old school, call it traditional, call it antiquated, I don't care what you call it. I'm really not getting into semantics. But I believe that a man sees a woman that he's attracted to, he wants to get to know, and he's going to ask her out on a date. He's going to pay for said date. No, I mean that woman should not in any way, shape, or form reach in her pocketbook for a damn thing. Period. End of story. However, it's funny how even when I say this, and again, you would think that along with the men, they're talking about they're okay this or the pre-date, but the increasing number of women who are now co-signing on this train of thought about the 50-50. And I'm like, what? I mean, they like, and they have their reasons for whatever. I said, listen, if you're really questioning it that much, then don't go out with the man. But how did we get to this point where a woman is okay with paying 50% of the deal? So I know that there's going to be some Valentine's Day dinners or whatever where she's going to want to spend half or whatever. And she's going to be comfortable with that. Okay, again, I can only share with you why I'm against that and why there is a reason for that. But there are those women who feel that a man can tell them what the modern women is about. So I can assure you, Yasheka, if you speak to enough men, they'll tell you that this is something that more and more women are going into. And they really stand on it. 10 toes down.
Well, I'm not going to tell you how I feel about that 50-50, right? That's one of those up close and personal conversations that me and the guy who was pursuing me, or a guy, any men who's pursuing me, we would have to have around date number 10 when we talking about being serious. But mm, yeah, yeah. To each his own. That's all I can tell you. To each his own. To each his own.
And that's what they end up saying. That Ronnie, this
Yeah.
is to each his own. This is how it is moving. And I'm like, again, I wish them well.
Yeah.
I wish them well.
To each his own. Yeah, to each his own. I mean, yeah, to each his own. Yeah, I mean, if we gotta do if we gotta do it that way, then what's the purpose really? And I know it's not just about money, but it's of course it's not about money. Because I always feel that and I'm gonna just say this and I'm gonna leave it alone. Um, there's times where I know for me, right? And this is probably a lesson for people who are listening to this, because this and of course if the person in your life is not this way, then you won't maybe it's different for you. This is the 50-50. This is why I don't understand the 50-50. In my previous life, right? Um I was the one responsible for the smaller bills, right? You got your water bill, your electric bill, whatever, right? The smaller bills. They didn't come out to be a lot of money per month. They're definitely one as much as the mortgage or the rent or whatever, depending on where we were. But then also, I was the one that went out and purchased everything that we needed for the house. So that includes the monthly supply of, washing powder or washing detergent, and soap for the kids and soap for us and shampoos and toilet paper, whatever we needed for the house. And then also, I was the person that if it was time to go and buy the kids new clothes, I took care of that. If it was time for he needed new underclothes, I took care of that. It wasn't no 50-50, because we knew that. And and then of course, if we were out to dinner, I'm not going to break out my debit card. He's going to break out the debit card. You know what I mean? And so it was just one of those things where, because it was always a give and take in certain situations, there's no way we would split everything 50-50, because that means that we will always be giving up money. Okay, well, I just spent $40 at the grocery store. I need your 20 back. You know what I mean? Like, who got time for all that? You understand what I'm saying? So when you're talking about 50-50, you can't just talk about bills, because to run a household is more than just bills. You got your everyday stuff, you got your food, you got your light bulbs. Your light bulbs might go out. Am I supposed to ask you for $3 on a pack of light bulbs because I use the fluorescent kind and they cost $6 a box? Am I supposed to ask you for $3 of that? You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I never understood this 50-50 bull crap, because you're spending money all kind of ways.
I,
But
I
that's just
agree. even in the space, people who has followed me know when I speak about my life in the world of debt consolidation, investment for retirement and long-term care, and insurance. One of the things that I did extensively with couples was really dial down deep, do a deep dive into their finances. And even in my personal life, just growing up, you know, I was raised in a household where, the father, dad paid all the damn bills. Mom worked if she wanted to, but she didn't have to. Dad, made the money. You know, ex-military, served his country, and so with that being the case, that was just he was in that school, and that's the way we were raised. You marry. First of all, you get up, you get a house, so that you have a home for her to come to. I mean, because you had children. I mean, it was that way the way it was. Now, nowadays that's toxic patriarchy. Okay, whatever. You know, but this is where the men. Now, if she did work, then that may have been money. And I've seen households where, again, growing up, so I'm going back to my upbringing and the couples that I experienced, where I remember there were families where the husband would bring home the wife didn't she didn't work, she maintained the house, raised the children. He brought home the paycheck, put it in her hand, because there was no direct deposit back then.
Right.
She deposit check. She took care of everything. You could ask that man, "Hey, listen, man, how much you make?" He don't know. How much is going to this? If you didn't ask the wife, no one knew what the hell was going on. And
Exactly.
so I dealt with those couples whose dad raised them that way. So now, and here was the unique thing because there's those women who always were able to finagle a little something on the side
Right.
just in case.
Right.
And did he know? A lot of women would tell you he didn't know. Trust me, the men know. He knew. But all that aside, what I did know and what that man will stand on and defend on to his last breath is that household never stopped running smoothly. So when you talk about the light bulbs, laundry detergent, the kids' clothes, everything was done. He came in, he got the big piece of chicken. His plate was first. This is what it was. She was. Now we can call that a patriarchy. We can call that a matriarchy. You can call that whatever you want to know. However, he was okay with this. She was okay with it. It ran. There were those who, if she worked, her money went towards the retirement and long term care, and his income paid all the bills,
Yep. Yep.
down to whatever it was. So, again, I don't want to come across as this one blueprint. But if we're talking about even in the spirit of Valentine's Day, if we're talking relationships and we're talking, of course, if you're with someone at this time, that this is something that you may, again, I'm hoping at this point things are somewhat serious and you're working towards something in the future. So, again, whatever that blueprint is for you, remember, start to consider this, especially because at some point, money is going to have to come up.
Right.
So, all of this talk about money is not that important. Yeah, right, whatever. Nah, money is important. And so, in a space now where we have two income households, okay, so her money may not mean a damn thing.
Hmm.
But what is she doing with it? And so she may decide that, okay, he's already made it clear that my money's not relevant. So she's going to put it towards whatever, but it's still going to benefit the family in and of itself.
Right.
So,
Absolutely.
so, so couples pick a journey, whatever it is. But again, I truly believe if you're healthy, a healthy man in all the areas of your life, and she's a healthy woman, you two are going to take whatever you have and you're going to do great and incredible things with that. So, again, I know that was a long dissertation in terms of that space when we're talking about money. But again, with that being the case, knowing that if we're talking about in a time now where you're in the Valentine's Day, of course you're going to get her a good gift because she is deserving of that. And of
Absolutely.
course, this is a space where also women also buy Valentine's gift gifts for their man.
Absolutely. Absolutely. When I have Valentine's, I do that. But when you were talking about the man bringing home the paycheck and giving it to the wife, that's how my grandparents were. Because when I think of relationship and marriages and stuff, that's my ideal, my grandparents, because that's the way that it was. The family couldn't eat until my grandfather got his plate first. You know what I mean? And so even if my grandmother had to fix his plate and then wrap it up for him, he still was the one that got the plate first, because and then he, of course there were different ways to do it. People did it differently in their households. But I know that my grandfather worked, and even when he came home from work, he would go out in the yard and then do, I guess, back then it wasn't entrepreneurship, but he would do his own little side thing, fixing on cars and stuff like that to make even additional money. So that was like his thing, because he worked at the Ford plant, but then he would work on cars, still, kind of along his career path or whatever. But my grandmother, she didn't have to work, but she took care of everything. Nothing got shut off. The mortgage was paid on time. All the when he went in the house, the lights bills was paid. He gets to cut on the lights. He knew he had clean clothes and everything he needed. And I don't know if it was perfect. I don't know if it was, the way it should have been. All I know is that it was a great example. You know what I mean? That's all I know. I know that it was a great example and it worked well from what I saw as a kid, up until my grandpa passing in 2007. So I saw it working well. But yeah, but anyway, so we talked about Valentine's Day and then we gave a little bit of more of what we believe relationships like, you know, balances out, how they balance out. I don't know. What do you think, Ronnie?
I believe that also look at Valentine's Day as again, just another step in that journey towards something bigger and better. Because you hear me. I talk about relationships. If it's not growing, then it's dying. So again, it's not just about focusing on that one day. It's about knowing that you thought enough about this person and only this person that you're going to share this day with in some form or fashion, either up close or at a distance, and you know that you're in each other's thoughts and that you're looking to take this to other levels moving forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, all right. Just as always. Well, I guess there's going to be, we're in February, so I guess we'll see how this Valentine's goes. This is the second month. So two plus nine is 11. So if we see like a rising in babies around November-ish, then we'll know that Valentine's went
Yes,
really well for a lot of people. You know what I mean?
that happens too. Yes,
So that's what we'll do. We'll time it on that and see how, and then after that, we'll wait on what their report is next year for how people spent money on 2022's Valentine's. So we will see. And maybe people will be nice and tell us in this video, at the bottom of this video, how they spent their Valentine's or what they bought their Valentines. Not necessarily what they received, but what they bought their Valentines, because I just want to know, right? So, do you have any closing remarks, Ronnie, before we go?
I want to say that if you want the best chance of making sure that 2023 Valentine is even better than the 2022, then you need to go to datingdiscussions.com and you will see some information on Yasheka, and you can reach out and schedule a consultation with her. You'll also see some information on me. You can reach out and book a consultation with me or with us both. I can assure you that what we have is of value. And so, if you want to talk about probably the ultimate Valentine's Day gift to all the single people, would be a consultation with either of us. That would probably be the best
For sure.
investment for a single person's Valentine's Day. And I'm just going to leave it at that.
For sure. Like, absolutely for sure. Ah, yes. I think consultate. Everyone should go see a relationship coach at least one time or a dating coach. Like,
I agree.
almost mandatory, almost like a therapist, right? You should see one at least one time and then go from there. You know what I mean? Like, they'll change your life, or should I say, will change your life. You
We
know,
will change your life.
definitely
Exactly.
change your life. I enjoy what I do, and I know you enjoy what you do. So, anyway, Ronnie, this is the end of our show, our Thursday before the Valentine's Day, and as always, this has been Nice. And if you are catching this live, make sure you leave comments. Let us know that you were here. If you're catching on a replay, be sure to hashtag replay so we can know that you stopped by. And do not forget to follow us on the Ronnie and Yashika's dating discussions on Facebook, Instagram, as well as on YouTube. And check out all our videos over there. And I will catch you guys in the next Ronnie and Yashika's dating discussion. You guys have a good evening.
Good evening,
Maybe
everybody.